maybe that's just a oh, sweet corn is all that's probably my most favorite sweet corn, and one of my very most favorite flavors out of all time. I just forgot about it because I haven't had it in such a long while. They don't have it in England. It's not a thing, like sweet corn isn't a thing. In the Philippines, it's everywhere. I love sweet corn. Sweet corn ice cream. Jack says, like, "Keith, when I saw you in Amsterdam, I thought you were a hologram because you look so unreal." Imagine if I just, you know, did 2 to 3 shows all at once and, the other shows are all holograms of me. That's hilarious. The log has holograms. That someday when I die, that'll be a thing in place of me. Maybe. Maybe. I'm trying to find, I'm trying to read. Oh, it's so much harder to navigate the chat on the phone. I cannot for the love of me step foot in the workroom or else I'll melt. Oh, congratulations, Nico. I hope the graduation ceremony goes really well. That's amazing. What has been your favorite song that you've created so far? That's sweet. That's a question by Leviathan. I've always loved And a Hound. Yeah, yeah, that's a really unexpected answer, I know. Uh, I was going to say Birdcage Blue and Yellow is actually one of the favorite songs that I've written. I feel like I don't connect as much with And the Hound's second verse, but I do love the first verse. I love the melody of And the Hound. I love its composition and everything about it. Yeah, yeah, da, 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 and the hound. And the hound and the hound, the hound, and the hound, and the hound, 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 and the hound, hound, and the hound, and the hound. Yeah. Blah blah backstory stuff. That's how I am with And the Hound. But I do like my new stuff. Like I've written a lot of new things that I haven't shared to the world, and we don't really know when that will be. But I've written a lot of things for Yaelokre, and I've written a lot of things for Keith as well. Currently, I'm really proud of Insatiable. I think that's very raw and definitely a lot of it is derived from my diary, like straight up verbatim from my diary entries. And I think like those kind of songs that are not filtered to fit a certain narrative or a certain um world feels rawest and heavier for me. And I'm quite proud of that. And I'm so happy that everyone's gotten everyone's appreciated the new song. I've written a new one for I've finished Come South, and I'm really happy about it too. It's just a lovely and heartwarming conversation, I think. And I hope to maybe find the time to record it maybe next week. I have no idea. Um, what music app do you use to create your songs? I really want to get into music by Cal. I initially use Ableton, but I don't really produce my songs anymore professionally. I do have a producer, and he uses a different DAW, a different software. But initially, I use Ableton for my fun bits. Oh, uh, uh, question by Emmy. Keith, what is your favorite kind of soup? I love soup a lot, and I've been wondering, what's your favorite kind of soup, if you like it at all? I love, uh, what is that called? Pumpkin, pumpkin squash, squash, a squash. It's a specific. Oh my goodness. Let me, uh, um, squash soup. Oh my gosh. It's the one from, yes, butternut squash. It's from this Filipino restaurant that I absolutely miss and adore. I love butternut squash. I love creamy soup so much. Please. Uh, question by Calix. Will you be performing in other countries in Asia as well? I hope. I hope to. Originally, it was supposed to be this year, but visa problems happened, and it's really hard to fix up the technicalities of it behind the scenes. Like, of course, I do want to visit as many countries and places and performers for as many people as I want, but it's just the papers. So hopefully, if things go in our favor next year, or maybe the next year, sometime, we'll be able to include Asia and Australia and the tour. I would love to go back to the Philippines, especially. Are there any brass instruments in Kid and Leverett? I've been arguing with my partner about it for 2 weeks. Yes, the trumpets in Kids and Leverett. And I was quite adamant at adding that. Very much so. Wait, there are like 200 people in here. Gosh, I hate it when this app absolutely taunts me scrolling up. Question by Sleepy. How do you how are you able to change the paint patterns on the instrument so often? Well, my instrument's paint gets chipped a lot, and that is because of travel. And of course, I tend to play aggressively, even if I use the right type of paint. So I just kind of paint over it ever so often. Yeah, I do use varnish, but still, with the travel and the amount of uses and just me scratching on it like an aggressive dog, it's bound it's bound to chip. This is horrible. This app is absolutely horrible. I cannot for the love of me read it because it keeps refreshing. Question by Iggle Piggle. I love that. I love that name, Iggle Piggle. Do you plan on a more fleshed out Canada tour in the future? 100% not soon. There's a lot of shows happening already at all. Of course. I think it's very exciting to be able to have the chance to visit a new area this year. And not only that, like Ben has been wanting to invite me over to Canada as well. And it's his territory. So it is very lovely. And hopefully, with more opportunities in the future, better everything, with the papers all sorted out, we'll be able to just have more in the roster. I'm very excited. Oh, that's adorable. Pigeons. We're going back to Jack again. What do you do if a string snaps on stage? Fortunately, it has only happened to me once, and this was during the very first show in America. And that was because it was only a day before we could settle in America. And the flight was about 8 to 9 hours. And of course, like change of climate and baggage being thrown about. And my instrument was not settling yet. And it ruined it. Absolutely not ruined it. The show went on. That's the thing. I When the string snapped, I kind of just played, um, played through it. And it was not the best performance, I think. I was quite sick and my string broke, which also led to the rest of my strings to be out of tune, and that means my songs will be out of tune and I wouldn't be in the right register and absolutely ruined everything. But it's great. People had a lot of fun. How do you manage not to get sick when meeting so many people on tour? I don't know. Everyone thought that I was going to get properly sick during the first ever tour in my life. Like out of my entire life, I have been such a sheltered child who's been stuck in one singular room that is not allowed to go anywhere out. And now I'm like meeting different people, different places, and flying to God knows where. And surprisingly, I've been healthy and the healthiest I've been my entire life going on tour. I think it's genuinely because I've been eating so much protein and exercising a lot during it, a lot of working out during that process and eating. And because as a singer, I drink so much water. Water, protein, cardio, lifting the baggage, lifting the instrument, lifting the the bags and um travel, core workout on stage for an hour every single night. Uh, it's a very physically tiring process touring. And when I went home, it was really funny. I got so much my legs looked so different when I went home after tour. And that was like it's life-changing. 2 months of absolute fun horror. Asked question by Lil Liverette. Keith, have you any advice for a young and aspiring storyteller, story writer, music artist? My main advice is don't listen to people in the internet. The online world isn't real, and their the opinions on your art do not matter. If you want to create something without harming anyone, then pursue it. As long as you're not hurting anyone, do it. And if you want to add a random talking dog in your all human realistic story, then do it. Anything bizarre could happen. But yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the internet is quite different from when I first um, got to the virtual world. But a lot of really young people get very, very much influenced and not in a good way on the internet nowadays because it's so like easily accessible, and that impacts their creativity and their creative decisions, even though they're so overly passionate about their own thing, their own direction. They tend to drive because, of course, like, oh, someone else is doing it like this, I should do it like that too. But yeah, that is my advice. Ooh, commissions. This is a guys. This is a question from Sixth Nightmare. Do you have any other advice for artists who are just starting to put themselves out there? I'm looking to make some money with commissions, but I'm having a hard time getting started. I was a hardcore commission artist before. I've lived and paid for my cat's vet bills and my own personal stuff for the majority of my teenagehood through commissions. And this is the advice that I can give. Uh, if it's your first time, start off low. And start off low, and also do not give it your all. Like my advice is, of course, like make it good quality, but make don't put all of your creativity and passion into arts that you're getting paid to do. Save that for your personal art. Like, don't explore and experiment on an order. Save that for your personal art, and start off low. um Maybe because I used to have about 9 orders in the span of a month, so 9 rendered painted portraits in like 1 to 2 months, and that would make me my that would make me around, let me remember how much it made me. What is what is 30 in PHP to pounds? Okay, that would make me £400 in 2 months. And I did not even have my prices at a higher bit. I just had like a huge, I didn't even have a big following. I had like a less than 1,000 followers on Twitter or something. And my oh, I'm so sorry. I need to find my words, but I'm really passionate about this because I've lived this for a long time to get my money to pay for my cat's vet bills. Um, do not, you need to find your own niche. Like you need to find a group of people. You need to find a specific fandom, for example, a specific community. For example, the people who play Baldur's Gate. That game, especially in the last 3 years, garnered such a huge community due to the release, and so many creative people are within that, like creating fan art, creating artworks of their own characters paired with like the canon characters. But a lot of people who play and enjoy video games cannot draw. But they're so passionate about writing, they're so passionate about the D&D world and how uh they want to incorporate their characters and their stories, yada yada yada. So they will be hungry for affordable, good quality artworks they can buy. So instead of doing a broad hashtag of I am open for commissions to the entire world and not having a specific audience, get yourself in a particular world, a community, and honestly, get in the media. What do you enjoy? Do you like Undertale? Then stick in in the Undertale hashtag. I got a lot of commissions and customers from being in the Baldur's Gate fandom or Skyrim or Dragon Age or um, that section of RPG games. And I barely played half of them. I didn't even play, I didn't have Baldur's Gate at that time. I barely played Dragon Age at that time too because I was too busy drawing while everyone was busy playing. But I was making money. So yeah, that's nice. Um, I think my highest price back then was £90 or less because I was too frugal and I was too shy of like my art isn't good enough. I can show you some of my commissions uh from before if you want. I'm sorry, this is a long answer, but this has really brought me back and now I'm so happy I can finally like help people with it. And I know that the market is quite different nowadays, but it's I'm still so happy. This was I don't remember how much this was. I think it was 80 USD. 80. I also got the only mm, sorry, I'm looking for the files and it's taken a while. These are quite big. Uh yes. Yes, 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 yes. I am looking for more. A lot of these are from, I think, like two of them are from Dragon Age. The other one is from a D&D story, and the other one is from a Star Wars OC. But my highest price was $80, which I know is quite low for this, at least. It's like that's how you get people. You're like, this artist is like selling these for so cheap, and then they don't. The more they come and they go, get it higher, and then you're gonna be like, okay, if you say so, and you get it higher, and business, and you get to send your cat to the vet without having any more problems. Yay! Uh, for sure. I was still doing commissions back when Harpy Hair released, and I had about my audience was about less than 2,000 people, and they they a lot of them are just customers. like customers that have turned into mutuals, and then eventually they were like, "Oh, you're making music? I didn't know you made music. Oh, I didn't know you could sing. I didn't know you could do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's one of my hobbies. Thank you so much for supporting me." And then everyone is like, "Oh, that's so cool. Will your commissions be open soon again?" And I'm like, "Maybe this February." And then Hoppy Hair went viral, and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you your money back because I can't have time. I need to make the music because the people want me to." And then they go like, "Oh, that's okay. I hope someday you'll open your commissions again." And I never ever did. I never did. Yes, I play League of Legends. I don't really anymore right now, but big part of my life. Okay, moving on to a new question. Question from Chloe. Is there still a policy for gifts at the shows? I know last time you only accepted small gifts for travel, so I'm just making sure it's the same for this year. Yes, as much as possible, I would hope that the gifting will be mostly just letters or paper, something very, very small, because I'm afraid that we cannot travel with big items, and we learned that the hard way. And it's really difficult to put them, to store them, and to travel with them. And the biggest fear that we have is just wasting not only your creativity, but of course, like the time spent and the effort of getting them to the venue and such. I would encourage gifting to other Wonderfolk rather than gifting to me. Uh, because then you'd have the guarantee that they'd take it home and they really great to appreciate, and you can encourage that making connections and making friends during the show. Is it not possible to send the box over before taking the plane? That's the bit. We've tried that, but it does cost a lot to ship, especially if we are touring from the US, and then of course my home is here. Uh, it's extra money to ship items. And also we've got a lot of baggage and a lot of props and instruments. We're only a small team. Penny just saw. It's really hard to read right now. Where I'm scrolling. Another question branching off of Six Nightmares commission question. Do you think Digital Circus would be good fandom to get started doing commissions for, since it's so popular right now? I would say no. It's really popular right now, but I think it has the same effect as Encanto and, you know, and Spider-Verse, because it's like a one it is a series, but at the same time, it's a one-time kind of spike on the internet, and it's mostly based on characters, canon characters. You should This is just my advice and my experience. You should market your commissions towards people with OCs, like a community filled with people making characters and their own characters. Because people are already receiving so much fan art for Digital Circus and, you know, canon characters, like they're already receiving so much content of that on the internet. Why would they need to pay someone to have a specific scenario or something like that? But yes, you should campaign in a place where it's people going, "Oh, I have this OC and I don't know how to draw, so can you please draw my character?" And there's that. Like book communities are really good with that. RPG communities are really good with that. Video game communities that has games that makes you customize your own character, and of course like a lot of people making characters to ship with canon characters. That's when you get really like the customers are gonna go, "Can you please draw my character? And I don't know, Arthur from Redemption to hold hands. Thank you." Yeah, the furries are really generous too, and as much as the reputation uh is like on the internet, the furry community is the same as any other community on the internet, have really good sides and really bad sides, and most of them are really kind. So don't be scared of that too. Yeah. Did someone say food? Keith, would you accept food from fans? Unfortunately, no. I am a very big food person and I do love food, but I'm so sorry, Mexican call Seymour. I cannot receive food from people I do not know, just for safety. What's your opinion on cheese? Question by Harris. I love cheese. Blue cheese is one of my favorites. I know it's a stinky lot, but I do love blue cheese and crackers. I unfortunately have not played any Zelda games. I do watch watched my friends play it during calls before, but personally I didn't get to have that experience. I'm very much aware of it though. A question by the Cowardly Cheese. Hello, Keith. This is a tech question. Do you rent a sound system and take it with you, or do you use the venue system? Same question with the lights and everything. Do you have tech people to travel with you? That's a really specific and good tech question. Thank you. Cowardly Cheese. I have my own sound guy, which I know personally, and I do have my own lights person. Well, hopefully. And we don't bring our own sound system, but they do have their own gear, of which can be like something to adapt as their own gadgets for how the shows work. But most of the time, to travel lightly, they just use whatever's in the venue. Sometimes it really sounds inconsistent. There was a time, for example, in Chicago, if I remember correctly, like Chicago's venue wasn't the greatest and it was one of the worst ones my sound guys worked on. And he was like, this is the best we can get it to sound, unfortunately. And I'm going to go, it's okay. It's okay. Hi Keith, will we get any hardcore content soon? Mm, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Who are the hawkers? Who's the hawker? What's a hawker? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Keith, are we going to get any hardcore content? I don't know, little Keith. What about you? Do you know if we're gonna get any new hardcore content? I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. Why are you asking me? I don't know. Maybe you know. Do you know? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. Have you done any work for the next chapter already? Asked Lily. Yes, of course. The work never stops. The writing never stops. And it's always going to be there. And no one knows how it's going to start, which is the best part of this whole thing. Ha 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 ha. I really need to develop my evil laugh. I don't have an evil laugh. I don't. Someday it'll come out. Someday it'll naturally come out. But yes, I have always been writing. The next chapter's already been written off. There's an ending. There's things after the ending. There's things after the ending's ending, and there's things after the ending's ending, and it's all in there. I just need to make the songs, of which I have already done some of it. And I'm not dangling some carrots in your face. I am telling the truth. I wouldn't be in this career if I was lying. No one thinks you're lying, Keith. Yeah, no, what do you think? I don't know. But maybe you're just scared that you're not telling the truth even though you are. I am telling the truth. You stop. I really love doing what voice. That's mini me. Oh, chat is so fast right now. I'm trying to get a question. Why doesn't the big Keith just eat the mini Keith? Sorry for going quiet. I'm reading. Question from Mikhail. Will Reva be released eventually? I am starting to think not. Uh, what do what did I mean by starting to think now? No, it's never going to be released, Reva, because that was written when I was. When was that? I've said this multiple times. I talked about this multiple times, and the answer is always going to be the same, guys. I'm never going to release Reva and Liar. That was that's so outdated. But I hope to. I really love the melody of it, and I really love how it's composed. So of course I'm going to recycle that and redo it, but not exactly Reva and not exactly Liar. Question by Yippee! This might be a silly question, but is the Foolish Majesty and the Hound the same person? The way it's described feels like the Majesty was turned into the Hound. No, no. The Hound is the self. So, I'm the Hound. Everyone's the Hound. Everyone's got a Hound. Everyone's got doubt in them. That Hound is doubt, and doubt comes from the self. So, when they were talking about the Majesty in that context, that is the Majesty's hound. That's his dog, not ours, not yours, not everyone's, but his. He's talking to the hound. Meow, meow. That's what it does. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this chat. Just Matt. Uh, asks how many chapters will Meadowlark have and how many songs will they have? This I cannot completely answer clearly, but I know that Meadowlark doesn't really have or like base off chapters, and if I were to say chapters, it would be four. And that's really expected because the first chapter is going to be tackling, of course, history and how the world came to be. Second chapter is going to be um introductory to the main plot and how that sits in this world that we just explained in chapter one. And chapter three is going to be the main cast going through the main events and trying to solve, leading into the climax, which is the last chapter, which is the fourth chapter. And from in my, like, I hope I get to fit each chapter within 5 songs, so that would be 20 songs, but I feel like there's going to be a lot more than that. I don't. So yeah, I because it's taking so long, I need to lay out what the world is, how it came to be, and how Meadowlark as a narrative functions before I get into the details of like backstories and relationships and all the drama. Because you need to lay out the foundation first. You need to have the context first before everything. Also, this is really funny. The key family. Sure. See, I have it all laid out. I have my Excel sheets. I have my documents. I have my physical drafts. I have it all. And it's unfortunate. I say it every single time. Like 2 years ago, it was all so sudden. And had I not pursued this career, I would have, I don't know, made I don't know, something about mental luck in like 5 more years. It's all. Why am I Rumpelstiltskin? That's funny. Keith, how did you achieve a British accent without being British? It's a complicated thing. Even in the Philippines is very much exposed to American culture and American media, so it is really funny. Everyone there is trying to sound American, or they have this kind of Taglish uh specific accents that I did not get because my stepfather, my dad, is Icelandic, and a lot of his interests revolve around media from Europe. And so I consumed the media he consumed, and I grew up with his accent and the accents that I got from the UK or the EU. For example, like a huge part of my childhood was Mr. Bean. Oh, funny man, stay by my side. Oh, never been Bean. It's Mr. Bean. I can do that really well. And that is a lot of the reasons my family was like, "You're funny because you grew up with Mr. Bean." It's so hot right now. I'm dying. Also, this poor person keeps asking this question. I keep ignoring it. Keith, will we ever see canon versions of the adult Larks? I would like to say, and I'm so sorry to disappoint, but no, we won't be getting adult Larks. Yes, it's me! Yeah, I can't read your username, but it's so funny. I just- I didn't want to answer it because I didn't want to disappoint you with the answer. But no, we won't be getting the adult Larks. I'm so sorry. Like they need to be kids for longer. And they've only just been born. They've just been born. They're like 2 seconds old. They're just a baby. This is a really interesting one. And this is where it gets complicated. Not really. I'll try to explain as much as possible. This is a question from Twisted Wanderer. Though the hound was referred to be the forgotten one, what about the harpy? Why do we generally have no idea what the harpy whatsoever? I mean, the hare is at least somewhat talked about. This is why the foundation of the story of Meadowlark is important to be laid out before we even get to the actual plot of the narrative. And that is because history happened in Eld, and the events of the Majesty and all of that junk that is an example of history being watered down into something easily digestible to the point that it doesn't translate the event as honest as it should. It's, for example, Snow White or any fable or Disney princess or something that you think is so innocent and so light and uh so easy, and the memories you have with these stories are like, oh, it's this childhood story that I have, but then you start to realize and you start learning that there's so much erased history behind these fables and behind these storybooks and these chapters, and you get educated that, oh, did you know that the childhood storybook that mom showed us when we were kids, yeah, the harpy and the hare, yeah, that the game that we used to play, yeah, harpy hare, yeah, um it's based off this chapter in history that was erased from the schools, and there's this third figure called the hound, and the hound represents this, and it's like, it's it's something you then discover. um Yeah, it's a telephone game. Whole life is just a telephone game. TikTok is a telephone game. YouTube is a telephone game. The internet is a telephone game. Live is a telephone game. You're going to be listening to me right now, and you're going to run off to your friend and going to be like, Keith said this, and then miss one word, and then the other person's going to be like, oh, Keith said this, and misses another word until I do not exist in that narrative anymore, until those words that you're sharing are no longer mine. Ring, ring, ring. Life is a telephone game. Telephone, 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 telephone. Telephone, telephone. That's my new song. Telephone. Stop going, stop going, tiger one little candy ball. What the hell are you trying to wait there? Shut, sorry, shut, for you, tell me, talk to people. You tell me, so. This is a question from Owl of Wisdom. That's cute. Wait, how fantasy based is the Meadowlark world? I'm not too into the lore or anything, so I have no idea if it's like a human only world or if it's like a whimsical fantasy world with a bunch of races. It is, well, fantasy, but it's also based off real errors that are mixed together. And all of the characters are human except for the Harkers, because the Harkers are merely concepts that are given a voice. And to, to the point that even the four cradles, which are the Harkers' mothers, are not broadly treated as an entity, and it goes from varied beliefs of like, is this a god, is this real, is this just a concept, is this just a moral compass, is this just like, everyone's got their own takes within that world, within Eld, but everyone's human. There's no magic. The closest you can get to magic is wonder, and the Harkers are the only four that are, yeah, they're quirky like that. They like to be different. Yes. That yes sounded so gay. Question by Kay or Grace with a little duck emoji. This chat is so fast, and this may be a silly question, but Keith, are you into any jazz? Yes! A couple of streams ago, I heard you talking about the different jazz instrument on the YouTube. Yes, I'm into jazz music. I'm into specifically just brass instruments because they're the only instruments I think that match my voice. And I think if like my voice right now, it sounds like a brass instrument, I think. And it matches my voice and my singing voice so well. And I think that that's my OTP. And my friend said this really funny bit of like piano X Keith is a rare pair, and I do agree. I have a weird relationship with the piano. I have to justify it every single time, but like brass instruments, yeah, yeah, yes. Oh my god. Lily! I love this question so much. Question from Lily. Going to paste this just one more time. I hope this isn't too personal, but is there a specific reason why you're drawn to misunderstanding of history as an important part of your narrative? Is it a translation of misunderstanding of the self? Yes and yes and no and yes and no and yes and no. Oh, there's so many layers to this. Oh, so many layers. I value honesty, authenticity, bluntness as my top principle. My highest principle is honesty. And that's why I love communicating in many different ways. If I have to be expressive with my facial expressions and my actions in my hands and the actions that I do in my life, the things I stand for, I will try my hardest to communicate it as clearly as possible. And I will take on many forms. I will write and sing and dance and interpret it in many different ways, but have that message be the exact same thing because I want to be able to communicate my honest self to you in many honest forms. And that is why I also love communicating with my audience. I do have the choice to back away, but I want you to know that I am being a person. And I don't want to live as some sort of, yeah, I did this thing. You can, I don't know. It would be dishonest of me to just leave it and not explain why and not give the weight and not justify why I did this and did that. I have had a lot of experiences with not being listened to, with words being put in my mouth, and to the point that this is one of the reasons why I value learning and talking and communicating so much. I will repeat the word communicating over and over and over again because it's so important to me. Uh, and this is why you think I'm good with words because I want to be understood as plainly as what I say to you. And if I say I it's really warm right now, and then of course the other person gonna be like, so you hate the cold, and I'm gonna be like, I did not say that. That's like the biggest peeve thing ever. And that's of course like very common in the internet. But getting out of that, I came from a country that erases history a lot. The Philippines is quite unfortunate when it comes to teaching uh, their children and their schools and their students about the history and the value of their own country and their own land and their own people. And a lot of the times they only seem to take it seriously when it's romanticized. Like for example, the the alphabet, the language. What is that? Oh, what is that? Um what's that called? It only came recently into. Oh yes, by buying. By buying the when I was around like 12. I know it's been here for ages, but it only got it back its attention in a wider populace when people started romanticizing by buying because they thought that, oh, we have something unique, we finally have something we could claim our own, when in truth it has been there for eternity. It has been there forever, and the only time you're noticing it is because it's unique to you. It feels a little bit like fantasy, and I don't know, it makes me feel quirky. So I'm gonna learn bye bye and I'm going to use it in my work. That's what a lot of my classmates thought, and a lot of the people surrounding me thought. So it was ridiculous to me that didn't this exist long time ago, and we were raised to learn English as our first language because we're so colonized and we're so Americanized and we glorify America and erase history because apparently we glorify our leaders that were very much corrupt. And I'm so passionate about this. People erase history, replace it with something more ideal to their beliefs, and then think that, oh, why are we not progressing? Nada, because you did not learn from the past. You did not remember, and you're not making whatever. I'm calm. Hey kids, welcome to Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Come inside. Let's go inside. It's a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Oh, yeah. It's it's a long time thing. I'm very much inspired by my own heritage and my own experience, not just as a person, but as a proud Filipinian. Filipinian. Am I right? I, it's just I'm getting really cringy now. Cringe. In a time, in times where the internet and the virtual world and people who are not able to have the courage to face other people and say their opinions on their faces, we are met with so much misinformation in the world, and spreading misinformation has really been one of my biggest. People will believe what they want to believe. They will herd themselves into tiny little circles and feel like they're the most powerful people in the world. And this goes with every single community. It doesn't really matter what the truth is, as long as you believe in something enough and have enough people to believe in that something enough as well. And it's true, right? Right? Oh, the world is a very wonderful place. Humans are beautiful. But one thing's for certain, the wonder that kids hold will never be replaceable. And that is the most honest thing I could ever think of. My little pony, my little pony, ah, my little pony. Okay, let's switch questions. I've gone on this way too much. Thank you, Lily. I do not have a favorite breed of dog. I love all dogs. I love dog. Dog. If the foolish majesty is gone, this is also by Twisted Wanderer. If the foolish majesty is gone, who is the problem in the world of Eld now? Itself. Ha 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 ha. It's true. It's true. For example, If we take down a single villain on Earth right now, would that solve everyone's problems? No. Yes, it'll help, but at the same time, taking out someone with power and an evil person will also just ripple all around. And exactly, like you'd still be broke. Like, everyone would still be in the same, like, it'll be the same. It's so tricky because it taking out someone good or someone evil will still ripple in the sense of like, will it end up badly or will it end up good? Because we as optimists will be like, if one evil person dies, that's good, right? Yes. But in reality, it's just going to provoke more evil people, you know? And it's really an interesting thing. Like the humans are such curious creatures. And I choose to be a funny guy. Oh, yeah. Uh, I I love being here, guys. Thank you. I love laughing and looking at my profile picture. I look like a happy little doggy. Okay. Hey, if people, okay, I'm gonna stop talking about this whole thing because I know it's getting political and it's getting too real. And it is real. Art is political, and our existence is a funny bit. Uh, Let me read. Hmm. Let me clear things up. Oh, I can't answer that. This is a question from Demented Frog. I'm okay. How do I? Okay, okay. So it doesn't scroll. I'm curious. I know we will very unlikely be getting new media of Cooper and Quest as their designs are outdated, but what's the case with Bin? Do they have an important place in the story aside from the spotlight on the Lark? Same case scenario. Bin is still Felicity's postman, or like one of the prominent ones. Post person. The same as Cooper and Quest being like having their own roles as the parents, well, foster parents. Uh, so the roles don't change. They're still around, but like the same scenario, we don't really know much about them aside from their roles. Like, uh, there's nothing really people can actively talk about anyway, if I say otherwise, but the only information we know is are their roles, like parents, the post person, uh like Bin's current design isn't really it's outdated as well, but uh I can't really say since it's not mine. It's my partner's, so I can't say. It's not mean. it's the whole like canon bit is such so frustrating to me because it's not a strict thing. Like obviously, like you can let me get this straight just to get it out of the way. Like these characters and these designs, um, and like, people can still make things for them, but I just needed people to know that whatever they're making or trying to relate to the actual story, it's not as relevant anymore. And sure, if you, it's the same as like if you wanted to draw the lark in the old pilot designs, then sure. But it's just as long as you acknowledge that it's not, you know, what we have right now. Uh, and the only content we have of Ben is that they're delivering mail, and that's like given. That's a canon. That's their job. That's their role. Am I making sense? You're allowed to cosplay the Harkers, yeah. You're allowed to cosplay anything. I can't stop you. These are just like preference to me when it comes to Cooper and playwright. And if you badly wanted to, then go ahead. But you know, I'm just a person with opinions. Yeah. And so many people have already made costumes of the Harkers as well. I have no idea how they do it. I have no idea how much time they have in their hands to sit down and create. That's really funny coming from me. This is a question from just Matt27. Earlier you mentioned each chapter will have estimately 5 songs each. Why are they so much shorter compared to Forward's long 12 songs? That I cannot tell you because it's a secret. Because it's not going to be broken down. It's going to be one big thing rather than, you know, fleshed out 12 songs that do not match each other's, that are not quite related to each other. Like Forward, there's just a lot of rambling and themes, introductions, Forward, the gist of it all. I need to stop talking. I need to focus on one question and stop letting this chat scroll past my screen like this. This is cute. A question by Scruff Scott. Hey Keith, I hope you see this. What's your favorite dinosaur? I like the Triceratops. I like Triceratops. Question by Celine. Yay, sorry to bother. Perhaps you have said before, but what kind of questions we can give and what kind we cannot? Well, I suppose we can ask, but I wonder which ones would be answered if it makes sense. That's a really good shout. I will obviously look past questions that I think will be answered in the long term when more of the narrative comes out. Like for example, someone's asking about Anais, which is Clement's mum, and I don't want to give anything right now because I want it to be presented properly and introduce her properly to a bigger audience rather than how many people, like 139 people in this uh live. Uh just throw out your questions and I'll see if I'm going to be able to answer them as I could. I obviously like won't answer anything too personal with my life, like my relationship with my partner. I don't like we don't need to mention Ren in this. Other than that, yeah, everyone is quite welcome. Oh, this is a really good one. Question by Fawn. Is the harpy being a mythical creature in Greek mythology having any importance in Yaelokre lore? As the harpy is typically seen to be a half bird, half human, usually a female. I wonder if there is any importance regarding that correlation between the harpy and Yaelokre in Greek mythology, or is it simply related to the harpy eagle? The very latter. When I talk about harpy, I am talking about the eagle. I'm talking about specifically just a bird. Um, It's the same with like I could literally just say wolf or like dog, but I chose hound, and that's just an artistic and fit for the storybook kind of wording for a bird. I do have passerines and mentions of meadowlark and sparrows and cardinals and finches all around, but specifically the harpy for this story. So when I talk about harpies, I'm technically not talking about the Greek mythology, the creature. They are really, really cool though. This is really funny. Okay, this is a question from George Washington, Shin's version. Do you have any advice for writing and researching? I want to create my own fantasy world inspired off of various different cultures, eras, etc. But I unfortunately struggle quite a lot with being able to pay attention to things for extended periods of time, and I don't know how to get around that, nor am I best at writing. This is really good because a common thing that writers do in any other way is, of course, like research and making sure that they have a reference to base off of. And you, as a fantasy writer, if you're writing a fictional world, you can cheat your way into the system and just make something up. And you will unfortunately have to go through a less easier process of systemizing how that functions within your world as more and more and more questions come up and more of your characters start to, well, ask those questions to its author. And for example, like when I was writing Felicity, the city, I had to learn about the political side of things. And it's not like I'm ever going to talk wildly about it in my songs or I'm going to give light to it, but me as an author, I also want to, I'm curious of how it works, how it should work. And I delved into different different uh countries and systems. Of course, like never seen the Philippines, but the Philippines is kind of based off the Constitution of America, and it's very different here in the UK. It's very different in Europe as well. Like the whole seat, they don't practically have a president, and it this is where it it gets really complicated because I remember the time I had several Wikipedia windows open and I had to take note and do like proper research and understanding of, for examples, there there is a mayor, but the mayor can't really do anything to the city. The mayor is just like the figurehead, but the mayor doesn't have a lot of power, and all of the decisions have to go through a number of people who has that political power, and like they are 28 people, I think, or like 12, 15, and half of them handles the people, like the public, and then half of them handles what happens in the communication inside of the building, inside of the system in itself. So they all converse and agree within each other, like, you know, voting who the next pope will be. And it's less on people outside going, I vote for this guy, I vote for this guy, because they don't, like the community, the people, the citizens don't really have a say. Mostly it echoes within a room of specific number of people. Sorry, I'm being a nerd. I'm being um and this is, I know it gets, I don't know, it depends on the person. I'm really interested in conversation like these because I can tell you this isn't really relevant to the law, nor is it going to be brought up in the songs or in the chapters as much. But Felicity, for example, is ruled over by a mayor, but the mayor has 12 cantors, and I don't know if I'm going to settle with that, but I'm calling them cantors as a standard, as like a standard name, like Cantor. They've got 12 cantors, and of course like six is for the people and six is for within the the system in itself, the council. So the cantors are the council, and they have a figurehead for Felicity as the mayor, And these group of people, 12 cantors, including the mayor, are under a prince. But the prince isn't a person. The prince is a state, for example, like the state of America, um, a region. Like it's either a state, it's a region, it's a portion of a kingdom. That is what a prince is. So the prince isn't a person. The prince is a body of council, which includes 12 cantors and the mayors, including the mayor of Felicity. Ah! Sorry, I'm really like, oh, I'm really sorry. Is this it, yeah. I'm a musician. I'm a musician and I make songs la 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 la. I don't need to explain my world politics to the people. Oh, but yes. The fun bit about this, which I think you'd enjoy, is that the mayor of Felicity has relation to uh Clement's mum, which is Anais, and that's why like she came from a group of people that live around like was it North if I remember like North Bridge. Felicity works as a as like four sections because there's four bridges, of course, like North Bridge, West Bridge, South Bridge, East Bridge, and they're all like they. It's a very big city. It's a prodigious city. Think of Gotham, but it's a really really big city, and it almost embodies its entire prince, its entire state, its entire region. Like there are other holds and other smaller cities within that same prince. When I say prince, I'm saying state or region, okay? Or like a body of land. I will say prince. And but it's so big and it's so obnoxious and so prominent. It's a virus. It's a it's a cyst. Felicity. Um but yeah, it's all the four bridges are sub sub areas like smaller towns, smaller boroughs like sub boroughs within the bigger city. And yes, four different bridges lead to that. There's a lot on the mind. There's a lot. You've just opened something very specific in my brain, and now I'm so deep within it. Are the people in power elected, or is the power passed down due to heritage? It can be both, because even if the people had a say, because the people are sheep, and a lot of the people in Felicity are still in belief of like the false history of what the Majesty believed in. They think that this person would be fitting to rule over Felicity, or like be the figurehead, the mayor of the Felicity, because he's related or somewhat or in any way, like even just not by blood but by beliefs. It's it's very realistic, don't you think? Like it's sad, but yes, it is. It's quite reminiscent of our real world. This is a question from Beatrix. Does each area at Prince of Felicity have its own distinct personality that defines the area? Before I answer that, Felicity is within the prince. I really need to like explain this. Okay, sorry. So I'm going to explain this as clearly as I could. The prince is the body of land. Inside the prince is a prodigious city called Felicity. And Felicity has four bridges, and those four bridges act as smaller sections, subsections, that are similar to boroughs and towns. And yes, those four those four subsections have their own people, have their own culture, and have their own personalities. They all have their own, like, it's one big city, but they all have their own ways of going about it. If you need a mind map, just think of the compass. The compass from the logo. The compass, the Yaelokre compass. Because the map of felicity is the compass. It has always been the compass. The moral compass. I thought people knew this. I thought this was common knowledge. I thought this was common knowledge, guys. I know nothing. Yes, Felicity as a city. The compass design is not based off of Felicity, but rather the other way around. Felicity has formed itself from nothing um into vaguely, like if you zoom out of the map, it'll vaguely resemble a compass because of its four bridges facing each direction. And there's a whole like how it happened in history because the kingdom got destroyed, and during the harpy hare hound situation, of course they had to build from the very beginning, and of course they had nothing. So imagine a snake eating its own tail. And will we ever get a proper map of everything? Probably in the future, but it's not relevant, so I'm not prioritizing it. Think of a snake eating its own tail. It's going round and round and round and round in circles. uh that's why it like felicity, when I say the bridge of felicity, which one, are you talking about? Which direction are we going? But in truth, it's like felicity is built off of a bridge. Is felicity the most, I love Lily so much. Is Felicity the most prosperous place within that prince? Is the prince the only body of land with an eld, or are there others? There are others! There are other princes in the world of eld, and it's a big, big place that we don't know, but it's really big. It's really big. Yes. In this specific prince, I don't have a name for it yet. I don't really feel I need to name it. I probably do if I'm going to talk about it more. In my head, it's just kind of like, oh well, it works like this, and so it's like this. Oh, that's good enough. Let's go about our day. But in this current prince that we are tackling Meadowlark in, uh, yes, it is the most prosperous and prodigious city. It's the only place It's the only place in the entire Eld that shunned the Harkers away because they were so overthrown by doubt. This story has been the talk and like the main thing that it's become its own narrative to the point that it's had its own story. It's called Meadowlark. And I'm telling that story. I am just one of the people living there and being like, ah, this is the kind of here's a rendition of what happened during that time. There is another prince, so like there are multiple princes. I don't know exactly what, but I know that I wrote another one called the Novel Prince because this prince don't take this as final. This is just me sketching out so that I could label them properly for me to organize. But the prince that Felicity is in is called Archaic Prince, like something, something, something archaic prince. But I'm not keeping archaic. It's just another word for me to go, this is the past. And then there's another prince called Novel. So it's something like new. It's a new prince. And it's really fun and interesting. Do the bridges of Felicity go over anything? What this is by Jolly Beetle? Do the bridges of Felicity go over anything? What do they go over? This is another thing. The bridges of Felicity are not actually bridges. Woo! Woo! The bridges Felicity in itself is a city atop a bridge. The bridges of Felicity are boroughs. So these are small subsection communities that people go past and have to go through to get in to the heart of Felicity. So I call them bridges because they are a pathway that you need to get past so that you could reach the center and the heart of Felicity. So I hope you're not thinking of actual like London Bridge or something like that. Boroughs, boroughs, as in like boroughs. Yeah, there you go. So it just go. It was so much. I'm so happy because I this isn't relevant to the law in a like narrative sense of Meadowlark as a story. I'm not spoiling anything, and this isn't really important for when you listen to the songs. But this is the world where Meadowlark is set in. So it's like I'm having so much fun. Like this is I work on this every single day almost. The lark lives in the heart of Felicity. That is what I call it. The heart of Felicity is the very core and the very center where all of the bridges and the people from all of those four bridges come together and mix their cultures and exchange their profits and their knowledge and their ideas and where opportunities lie because it's such a like a vast um and full of variety. The lark lives in the heart of Felicity. And of course, like they came from all different directions. Of course, that's like very predictable. Like the lark, there's four larks and there's four bridges. They all came to the heart of Felicity through four different bridges. which means that they all of them came from four different directions and sections of the prince, somewhere outside of Felicity. And the heart of Felicity, the very city, the very only place where it's dethroned by doubt, this is where they got together, and this is where they turn friendship and then wonder into the whole thing, and it's so magical. Doubt brought them together, and so now they're going to help the world by being awesome. It's turn I'm gonna turn this Q&A. I'm gonna change this title to no longer Q&A because I am not answering anymore. Keith blabbering or something like that. One of my specialties. Thank you, everybody. No, this is the when you have a new friend that's gotten into Meadowlark, and they go, "What about the bridges?" And they go, "You're gonna have to hold one their shoulders. You're going to have to hold their shoulders and look them in the eyes like the bridges aren't actually bridges. This is the thing. They aren't bridges because Felicity itself is a city atop of a bridge. So that means that It's yeah, yeah. Oh, and it's so like it's so is a thing like they have Felicity, the heart of Felicity, for example. Under there's no like it's just stone and water because it is a bridge. So they have to go out of Felicity to get that whole forests and like nature and the hills and mountains and such. They have to seek it out. They have to go out. And Felicity as a city is quite it's not a colorful place. It's very realistic and it's very smoky, quite a little bit polluted and a bit damp and industrial. It's very industrial. That's the word. It's industrial. Um, they use a lot of steam. I would say it's leaning onto steampunk, but also like oil and electricity as well. But it's like a mix of things. Like they don't have a lot, so they have to have a bit of everything. Um, I of course like don't bother to get into that section of things because I'm way too bothered by the politics at the very moment. That's where I am at. But it is quite industrial and rustic. Uh, why is Orpheus here? I I need to. Okay, guys, guys, how do I sketch this out? How do I? How do I draw? Drawing. Drawing. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen right now. Wait. Okay. Share your screen. It is going to be my really bad. Tell me if you can see the screen. Can you see the screen? No. What? How can you not? Share your screen. Oh my god, it's not letting me. Is this working? Is it not? Oh, okay. My phone doesn't really want. I don't think it's. I think it's also the same situation with my laptop. With whenever I'm doing live on Discord specifically, it doesn't let me. But I'll make you. I'll doodle you. I'll doodle you. I'll doodle you. The city. Okay. This does not look nice. Oh my god. Okay. Honestly, never mind. Does not look great. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. Oh, I give up. I give up, guys. It doesn't look great. No, it's because it's just like lions on that looks like chicken nugget. I don't want that spreading around. Like this is a map that Keith drew in the live explaining Felicity and the prince and the four bridges are not actually bridges, but instead they go and it's gonna be spreading around in the internet and I'm gonna live with that forever in my entire life. Yeah, so I better just like prepare for it. Oh, at least you got an idea of how it all works. You've got really fish is such a huge uh food in Felicity because um it's what do you call it? No, I don't. This is I don't think this is quite accurate. I'm so sorry. Um, sorry guys. I'm talking about the doodle that August Stinky Keith made. Thank you for trying, though. It's not quite accurate, however. Uh, yes, fish is such a like the most common and easiest food and meat you could get in Felicity. Well, quite obviously why. They live on top of a bridge. There's a lot of water surrounding or like under them, and it's easier to get. And rarely do they go out and hunt for like better game. Some of them have the usual farms, but there's not a lot of really good produce and meat to go around because it's a devastating area. It's a devastating city, when the Harkers are there to aid you with the coming storm and like warning you about natural disasters and possible fates and like making sure you are getting the right amount of security and making sure that your harvest goes well. But since this like Felicity doesn't have the hackers, they're kind of miserable. Um, and even the animals aren't healthy. A lot of them anyway. It's quite rare. I'd like to get to the point because I know this is a question that was asked previously, not this live, but snacks. Felicity has a translation for fries, so like fries, and it's little, small, thin fish that is covered in melted cocoa, and it's a fishy, salty flavor with a with like chocolate. No, but like actual like fish, and it looks like it looks like these. I'm trying to draw. Oh, I'm trying to draw it with my. What does it look like? So it's a little bit like that. Think of these as like little tuna, long sardine looking thin fishes that are about the size of Kingsley's hands, the size of a long fry. And this is what it looks like. It looks horrible and probably tastes horrible to a lot of people, but it makes sense to me. Oh, I always had that. Oh my god. Oh, yeah, well, is it to your inspired? I'd say it's longer than it's bigger than to your. Oh my gosh, Lily, what you know to your. That's so awesome. The kids enjoy it, definitely. It's one of those weird little things like similar to fries. It's so easy to consume and the kids always love it. But of course it's an odd thing. Kind of like that, but bigger. A little bit. And it's half dipped in chocolate or melted cocoa. Oh my god. Hello, mouse. But yes, fish is the most common meat. What else? There's nothing else really to share. God. Asked Lily again, does Eld have any plans or other stuff that doesn't exist in our world? Everything except for the Hag is based off our world. Oh my gosh. Okay. Why is Ren here? I love you too. It's it's so late. Asked by Mikhail, Keith, will you ever open commissions? I don't know if this was already said. Unfortunately, no. I did want to at some point. Uh, but I asked my manager, and it's like it feels like extra work when I'm already doing so much work, and I'm always just doing something. Do you have any advice on building the face of a character and coming up with a design? Asked Capri-sun. I like your profile picture. Uh, I personally think that whatever interests you, like what you find, it's character designing to me is very different. It's very different for a lot of people, like with people doing it for the sake of work or for the sake of a franchise and making sure the character fits the narrative and all of that. But um they for me personally, I prefer uh, it's it's like personal. How do I word this? If it fits the narrative, it tells a story. But otherwise, my mind is trailing off to nothingness right now, so my words are coming out hollow. Mm, for example, I can only share my experiences, but I can trying to word this out. Where's that? Keith Bucks. Where was I? What was I talking about? I'm trying to recall. Oh yeah. Character design and facial such a thing. it has to be specifically for me with what it reminds me of. With Clement, for example, like Clement has a lot of features very opposite of my face, and I wanted that to be a good reflection or a mirror for Cole, which is a lot of it is based off of my childhood features, and also with Clement like achieving making them look like a cervine or like a goat in simpler words. And I think I've managed to achieve that, and I'm currently really happy with it. The same with the rest of the kids too, like um Peregrine, for example, having that shape of a little calf moose. And they have four braids to uh signify like the intricacies of a moose's antlers. Um, what else? I like to play around with noses. I don't really bother with eye collars and like and crazy eye collars. Um, I think it's the same advice with every person that I meet in regards to making art, not just specifically character designing, but you have to find some sort of significance in the choices that you make for your character and for how they look, of how it relates to their story, how it is significant to you, like what is the relation and why did you choose this for yourself? And if you're going to say, well, I just like it, then that's a good enough reason. You don't have to justify further. But even better if you're like, oh, because this is a reflection of a part of myself, or an opposite of a mirroring myself, or like this, I don't know, reminds me of someone that is really dear to me, or these eyes are round because they are an innocent looking character, or I want them to seem innocent even though they aren't really narrative wise, and all of that junk. It's uh it's a wild, wild word of free choice. Question by Mikhail. Is it possible to be non-human in Felicity or Eld in general? I know the Harkers are kind of non-human with the bell ringer being a goat, somewhat anthro. Is that possible for civilians too? No. All the civilians and all the characters in Meadowlark and in Felicity are human. And the Harkers are not really magical creatures in a sense. They are materials from, you know, either dead leaves or dead animals, dead grass, uh, old patches, wood, yeah, man-made contraptions. Yarrow's head, for example, isn't a real goat. Like that is a intricate art piece that a human being made, and like the croon, for example, is made up of bones and rags and uh, all these intricacies and so on and so forth. Like they aren't magical; they were just brought to life. Yarrow has a goat's head, but it's not a real goat's head. Like it's not made of flesh from a goat. It is a. They are a puppet. They a human made contraption art piece. Yarrow is a nickname for the bell ringer. Why? Because where the yarrow grows is a saying that people in Eld have about like where the future is. The future. Where does the yarrow grow? The future. Are the current Harker designs much different from what we saw in the Harpy Hair music video? Yes. Well, similar to the lark. Similar to the lark, the concept is still the same. It's just upgraded, and it's just, other than better drawing skills than 2 years ago, um, better choices and more significant and more well thought out approaches on how to translate that look. But the concept is still the same. The storyteller is still the storyteller, made up of hay and patchwork and as a hat, and that hat does look really different now. Still covering the eyes and so on and so forth. Still a little guy. Uh Yarrow, the bell ringer, is still very much a puppet made of wood and steel, and uh um yeah, beautiful, golden, awesome, intricate. The enkindled is still made mostly out of bark, and still a shapeshifter, still has that mask, and still green and brown and raw, naturesque. The croon is still the same as well. Croon is still the same when it comes to it being either a replica or an actual creature made of bones and many destroyed things. For example, a wooden plank that is broken in half from a recent storm that befallen a house, a wooden house, and like that half of a plank is a part of the croon. So still the same concept, but just very much upgraded. Twisted Wanderer asks, is it possible for more Harkers to be brought to life, or is it just limited to those four? It is very much still limited to those four, because Meadowlark is a narrative, and an Eld works in a like a 4-4-4-4 system, due to there being a moral compass, and everything is like a lot of my decisions, creative wise, is based off of the directions, like northeast, south, west. Yeah. And the four Harkers are important, that they are four, because it works in a chronological order of, at first there was chaos, there was change. Also, just to make it clear, the croon is not only a representation of chaos, it is mostly a representation of disharmony, change, and the uh the overwhelmingness of it all. I and to be clear as well, chaos isn't bad. It it is represented as a bad or evil thing a lot of the times in media, but in this story it's not. It's a more of like a neutral perspective on how chaos or disorder, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Oh, wait. Uh, Wait, chronological order. Isn't really relevant to the story at all. This is just a like a historic fact, but the croon was the very first. The change was the very first thing. And then because there's so much change happening. There's so much change happening, there needed to be order. So came the enkindled. The enkindled uh was all about like give or take, give and take, give and take, give and take. If I take something, you lose something, and it balances out. It is equilibrium, and that kept change and disorder and disharmony and the croon stable. But with this ongoing, since everything was predictable, like order was predictable because we have this system now, we weren't progressing. And it's like saying there's no flavor. And so there is a hope that came, and that is the future. And then Yarrow was born. So croon and kindled, and then Yarrow, the bell ringer happened because there is like, oh, I want there to be future now. There needs to be a future. And the future is unpredictable and all of that. But it's dangerous to go into the future without minding the past. So then the very obvious answer was to make the storyteller. So the storyteller is the baby. The storyteller is yeah, the storyteller is the the baby. But the fun bit about it is because I haven't really introduced much of the Harker's personality, and I'm not going to expand on this today. But the even though the storyteller is the baby, the croon is still the one that acts the youngest the most. And then there's a lot of things that happens in that, which is in relation to what Lily said, that is very much relevant. What's relevant? Lily says, by the way, this has been bugging me for a while. In the story recited live before Birdcage, there's a line: the croon made a promise unknown of what's within. Is this going to be an expanded upon? Yes! It's a really big part of the story. Well, not of the main narrative, but oh, it's I can't share it here because obviously like this isn't, if I have to share it with a couple of people, I have to share it to the rest of the world, right? And I have to announce it because this is such important information. So I have to wait. But it is very there was a lot of when I was writing the Harkers, like my partner would see me on the floor crying. Like I would it ruins me in a I it's not that it's a huge heartbreak of things. It's almost actually, this is a really good shot. It's almost the same concept as author and protag, which them being a singular person. And it's a conflict within the self. What's within? And it's, you know, I love it. There's a further explanation to this, but when I was writing the croon, I wanted the croon to have disharmony within itself as well. Because not only is it an embodiment of change and disharmony, but it is also going through it. Um, and that is really tough. And I like to think that the rest of the Harkers are there as kind of like family, even though they were never children. They were never humans. But there is a hope from me as a mortal, as a person retelling the story that has happened in another universe, in another world, in another history, that I hope as a person telling you the story, I wish, and I like to imagine that those other three are there for the crew, and that gives me a lot of comfort. That's all right, guys. I think Lily just like hits a very specific, like very specific branches of questions that are related to each other, so it is quite relevant. Is the trailer for My Farewell to the Field still canon? Yes. Just to make it clear as well, this is a question from Jemium. Let me read the whole thing. Copying this here, expanding upon this as well. Is the trailer for My Farewells to the Field still canon? Because how is Core connected to the Harkers if the Harkers are no longer in Felicity? The Harkers were never in Felicity. The last time they were was not was a time when it wasn't even Felicity yet. It was the Majesty's kingdom, and that was the very last time that they were in that area. The Lark, none of the Lark were born nor found within Felicity. They were found in places where the Harkers roamed around or were allowed to visit. So, yes, Farewell to the Fields and everything that happened during Origins is canon. It is a vague, like, grasp on the backstories. I'm slowing down. I've got work to do, and I've got something really fun to announce tomorrow, which is fun. Uh, it's physical media. I'm kidding. Yeah, people, and you get it first because you're in Discord, and of course, you know, the team wants to baby Discord. Tomorrow, tomorrow, you will have something new in the shops. And I will practically have to go to my laptop tonight to make the visuals for the announcement. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I know, I know. I'm not even needing to tease you guys because you're gonna get it tomorrow. So it's like I can't. I really want to. I really want to record ComSouth. I've uh, it's not even a part of my, like, this isn't even what the side project is about, but it's just really fun. There's a lot of things going on.
So many things to go on. But no. What do you mean? Is it from Marie? What do you mean? Is it Yaelokre related? If you're talking about the announcement for tomorrow, yes, it is Yaelokre related. If you're talking about Come South or like a side project, anything in the side project is not Yaelokre related until said otherwise. It's not Yaelokre related. Even if it's Yaelokre related, it's not. That is the side project because it's not Yaelokre. I think the flag would be okay because you can fold it and you can fold the flag, Rory. So I think it'll be fine. Thank you. Um, what all can you or cannot accept at shows? Asked by attention span. I I can't really take big things. I am only allowed to take home items that I can fold and I can tuck away quite not only discreetly but conveniently in the bags because sometimes airports get really like tricky with it and I know it's like out of my control most of the times. And there was a yeah, I have to declare some of the items then. Yeah, smaller like preferably letters and papers and little drawings would be ideal because at least then you can express so much of yourself through it without needing it to be a big physical thing. I do cherish and adore letters and I love reading them. Your logica? Are you accepting of food gifts? Are they not practical? No, I'm not allowed to accept food, unfortunately. Um, Question by Remy. So, do you think a couple of bracelets would be okay? I wouldn't want to accidentally bring something that wouldn't be able to be taken. I think bracelets are really sweet, but last tour, we received so many bracelets, like so many bracelets that I was not able to take home a lot of them because of airports and travel. And I kept a lot of them and my team did too. Like we kind of just like tried to fit it in our bags. But as much as possible, I encourage like giving the gifts to everyone who comes to the show, like the fellow Wonderfolk, rather than giving them to me. And I find it really sweet. But I don't want to get your hopes up that I'm going to be able to take everything home. And I know how much you put effort into your gifts and to your creations, and they need to be received by someone who is able to appreciate and cherish them as they deserve to be. Um, my 49%, that should be good. I I can go to here. I can check in something. If I go, yeah, it's 7:30. So I'm going to hop off I'm receiving a lot of messages now. From who are these people? Yes. I'm gonna go hop off. Thank you so much to everyone who came and listened and asked your questions and such. As you can tell, like my voice and my energy is kind of just gone out now. I could barely see. Uh, yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.